Suffolk Andy here, in Australia, riding Captain Cranky's bike. What's going on here then? Nah, not really. It's me, Captain Cranky, doing a very bad impersonation of Suffolk Andy. Sorry about that, Andy. And the reason why is because he came to mind because I'm going to tell you a story. And he's such a good storyteller. He really is. My story is about was about getting out of identity theft debt. It's something that happened to me, and it's really funny because the story really starts one night when I was sitting down having a homebrewed beer. Kids were asleep. Life was just a friggin' mess. I was organising a divorce from my wife, who I'd been separated from for quite a while, trying to organise custody of the kids. I'd lost my job because I'd had to leave work to go and basically rescue the kids at one point. Some lunatic on a motorbike, funny enough, had run into the front of my ute, my truck. It caused $1,400 worth of damage, and we're going to have to sell the house that we not long bought together before we split up, and make a loss on a lot of what I'd invested into it. So I was sitting there and I said something to myself which I'll never say again, and I sat there and I said, oh well, can't get any worse, can it? So next morning I woke up, phone call from the bank to do with arrangements to sell the house, and they said, look, you're in huge debt to a couple of banks over in Western Australia. And I said, what? And they said, yeah, you owe $650,000 to these two banks. And I almost fainted. Anyway, so they were going to freeze all the assets to do with the house sale, everything, whatever. So there I was, single dad, unemployed, with $650,000 worth of debt that wasn't mine. So anyway, I said, what do I do about it? And they said, well, you need a lawyer, and you need to contact the credit people. So the credit people are something called Baycorp in Australia. So I contacted them, and some young uppity fella heard my story and said, oh well, you know, you're just going to need a lawyer, and you're going to need about 20 grand to get started. I said, 20 grand? I'm a single parent with no job. Where am I going to get 20 grand? He said, not my problem. So I said, well, I'd like to speak to your superior then, see if he knows. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, I want to know what a lawyer does for 20 grand. What does a lawyer do that earns him 20 grand to sort out that I've had identity theft? So I don't know. I said, well, put me on to your supervisor. Let's see if he knows. So his supervisor didn't know either. I said, go talk to your manager then. Manager didn't know. I ended up talking to one of the executives of Baycorp. I was on the phone for 40 minutes by this time, and I was just stubborn as. I just said, I want somebody to tell me what a lawyer does for 20 grand. Because I'll do it myself and I haven't got a lawyer. And he told me something really interesting. What that lawyer would do is he would request from those banks your financial records. Under the Freedom of Information Act, they are required to give them to you or to your lawyer as your representative. And off my own bank to get my own financial records. Get those and go through every single transaction spreading over years. I'd say, yes, that one was me. No, that one was some bastard in Western Australia. Yes, that one was me, etc., etc. So I wrote to the banks, requested those documents, which were duly sent to me, and I spent quite some time poring over years of financial records to do with me. and writing a statement to do with every transaction that I wanted to claim was not me. And all I had to do was write those statements, find some sort of evidence to back them up. For instance, on the day that I supposedly walked into a bank in Western Australia and borrowed part of that money, I also was shown to have paid for petrol in Sydney about 10 minutes earlier. So I just said, that was me paying for petrol. That was not me 10 minutes later borrowing money 2,000 miles away. So that there was some evidence, and there was quite a lot of that. So I basically just picked through these statements, made these little statements about the statements, and then I just had to find a justice of the peace to sign it as a witness that I'd basically written it. That was free, and then I sent it off to Bay Court. And a couple of months later they sent me back a statement saying it had all been sorted out, the transactions had been taken off my record, so I was no longer in debt. As to what happened to the identity theft, I don't know, but I did keep all those details, and about 5 years later I had to get a new passport to go home, and it came up in my passport thing. They said, oh, hang on, it says you're actually you live in Western Australia. And I said, no, that's not me, here's the evidence. So sorted that out, got my passport cleaned up. So for the cost of, let me see, 1, probably 2, 3 phone calls, 1, 2, 3, 4 postage stamps. So that's well under $10. So for well under $10, I did what a lawyer would do for apparently 20 grand. So that's essentially how to get yourself free from identity theft. You just need to find a way to document, or find documents that prove you may not have been the person who made several transactions. And as you are allowed those records as part of the Freedom of Information Act. Any information that's kept by anybody on you, you are allowed to request access to. So that's it. It was that simple. It didn't seem simple when it started. It seemed like a nightmare. But I managed to get out of it. So that's just my little story. Just in case it helps anybody who gets into such a predicament. But I think also, in general, the world is full of people who will tell you you can't do something, and will sneer at you and try to put you down. Quite often these people are supposed to be there to serve you as well. So just don't put up with it. Don't accept it. It doesn't have to be true just because they say so. Look into it, find out what you can. The information is out there these days and not that hard to find. This is new tar with loose gravel on it, so it's not very nice. Anyway, that's my story. Captain Cranky out.